Prepare to embark on an extraordinary adventure as we delve deep into the heart of Parker's gold mining expedition, where fortune meets hard work in a season like no other. In a riveting twist of fate, Parker Schnabel, the mining prodigy, has unearthed an astonishing $14 million worth of shimmering gold during this remarkable season. In spite of the many difficulties and disappointments he encounters, Parker ultimately achieves a significant deal of accomplishment. He takes a chance by putting his most advanced washing facility on very fertile land, which results in complications brought on by an abundance of water. Despite this, Parker is able to find a solution to the problem and continues his search for gold. Mitch had to leave the crew in order to safeguard his family from the neighboring wildfires, which presents the group with yet another challenge with 5 weeks left in the season. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a vast, rugged terrain, with the sun setting behind the horizon, casting a golden hue over the landscape. The clinking of shovels against rock, the rumbling of heavy machinery, and the anticipation in the air create an atmosphere charged with excitement and anticipation. Parker, armed with unwavering determination and a heart full of dreams, has once again pushed the boundaries of what's possible in the world of gold mining. Step into a world where dreams are as precious as the metal they seek, and where the stakes have never been higher. This is a season that will leave you breathless and in awe of the incredible journey that is Parker's record-breaking $14 million gold rush. Brennan assumes leadership and is immediately put under pressure to locate the treasure. They continue their mining operations despite the tensions and disappointments that they are experiencing. Parker, having realized the significance of adhering to the fundamentals, apologizes to Brennan and reiterates that their primary objective is to earn sufficient funds to purchase new land for the following season. A stunning 7,504.9 ounces of gold with a value of close to $14 million are mined by Parker's workers at the conclusion of the season, shattering their previous record for the amount of gold extracted. Celebration and happiness follow the success of the endeavor. Parker is extremely ecstatic about the recent decline in the price of petrol, as well as the rise in the price of gold. This comes at a time when he is getting ready to buy a piece of land in Alaska. Earning money is essential for him in order to save up for the next purchase he intends to make. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. But the large amount of water offers a risk that the plant would collapse into the pond if it is not handled properly. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. He was successful in finding a solution to the problem, and he is now eagerly anticipating the prospect of finding gold under the ground. Despite the fact that there are just 5 weeks left in the season, his staff still has a significant amount of work that they need to complete. They are struck a blow, however, when Mitch discovers that there are wildfires in the region close to his property and makes the decision to remove his family in order to protect them from the danger. Brennan is now in charge and must continue to search for the treasure despite the increased amount of stress. His explosive temper is caused by his frustration with the bad job that was done, as well as the obligation to walk the floors. In spite of the challenges, they are pushing forward with the mining operations, and emphasizes how important it is to ensure that their work is consistent with the basics at all times. Before the onset of winter, Parker is going to require Brendan's assistance in clearing the runway of any mine debris. They plan to earn a profit that is sufficient to enable them to purchase additional acreage in time for the following growing season. In the penultimate segment of the current season, Parker's crew is successful in extracting a total of 7,504.9 troy ounces of gold, which, based on the high prices of gold in the year 2020, has a worth of around $14 million. The group now holds the new record thanks to this accomplishment. To celebrate the accomplishment, cheers and laughing are used throughout the entire process. As the reserves that Parker Schnabel and his crew have begun to deplete, they are faced with the challenge of locating new mining land. They have plans to mine a new part of land that is 60 feet deep, and the quantity of gold that they are looking for is 8,000 troy ounces. Parker is well aware that the absence of Brennan throughout this season would make things more complicated than usual. But despite this, they are determined to make it work nevertheless. However, the first pans of muck that they dig out from Muck Mountain only bring up a few flakes of gold here and there. This is a really disappointing turn of events. In spite of this setback, Parker makes the decision to proceed, putting his faith in the results of the drilling and thinking that the material will yield better results after it is processed through the wash facility. He does this because he is confident that the results will improve. The fact that Parker Schnabel is rapidly exhausting his supplies gives him with the challenge of scouting out new mining terrain, which he must do in order to continue his mining operations. He organizes a meeting of his workers in order to discuss the approach that will be employed for the forthcoming season, which will require mining a new part of ground that is 60 feet deep. In the meeting, they discuss the strategy that will be used. They believe that there could be 8,000 ounces of gold at the bottom, but they are aware that it will be a difficult endeavor that requires a different method than what they have used in the past. Despite this, they continue to maintain their optimistic estimate. Parker is aware that it won't be simple because Brennan won't be around this season, but he and the other members of the squad are determined to make it work regardless of the challenges that they will face. As they move forward with the process of excavating the new ground, they run across obstacles here and there. Gold Rush is a hugely successful reality show that airs on Discovery Channel and features Parker Schnabel as the show's primary protagonist. The show focuses on the activities and endeavors of gold miners and diggers in the state of Alaska. Because of his consistent display of talent, Parker is an essential member of both the cast and the staff of the show. The show is his primary source of income. However, he also works at the Big Nugget Mine, which was built by his grandfather, John Schnabel. During the 4th season, he put some of his money toward his education in preparation for starting his own mining business in the future. He was just declaring that he had a bright future in the business when he managed to unearth 1,029 ounces of gold in Klondike. This is proof that he has a bright future in the industry. Subscribed yet? Do so now for more thrilling updates on Gold Rush. The first few pans of mud from Mud Mountain turn out to be unproductive for Parker and his crew, as they only produce a few flakes of gold. Parker is concerned about the amount of time and resources that have already been committed in the project up to this point. In spite of the obstacle, he makes the decision to carry on and put his faith in the results of their drilling. They have high hopes that the material, after being processed by the wash facility, would produce more desirable results. As we wrap up this glittering chapter of Parker's journey, we're left with a heart full of awe and inspiration. The tale of mining, perseverance, and dreams fulfilled is one that will resonate for years to come. As the gold dust settles and the sun sets on this remarkable season, remember that the spirit of adventure and determination lives on. Join us next time for even more thrilling exploits, as Parker continues to chase his dreams and break new records. Until then, keep the spirit of discovery alive and let Parker's monumental achievement remind you that with passion and unwavering dedication, you too can unearth your own golden dreams. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey, and stay tuned for more epic adventures with Parker Schnabel.
About 2 years ago, Parker Schnabel decided to take a big risk on a promise he made to himself: a $15 million one in Dominion Creek. This is in the endless wilderness of Klondike, where people's fortunes can make or break in an instant with a single shovel's turn. For this particular bet, something extremely important was at risk, and the auxiliary dangers were even greater. I'm going to say that the tough ground of the Klondike was waiting for a brave young miner. Let's begin the story. The story starts at a tough place called the Money Pit, which was much bigger than their earlier tasks on the Indian River. The job was hard, the problems were big, and the costs had gone up so much more than before. Parker, with his big ideas, was moving at full speed because he wanted to win. This situation was going to cost him a lot of money. There was a high chance it might make him a real Klondike king. On the other hand, it might also cause him to think about his losses. I think that's quite a gamble. The pressure was noticeable. Parker's projects were at risk then because a big debt had come during prosperity. Going from having a full bank account to facing the worries of mining makes it clear how close success is in a hard place like the Klondike. The worry about running out of money troubles everyone involved. I don't think I could stomach such a risk. Parker Schnabel's brave decision to buy the Dominion Creek claim was like a big gamble with nature. It's exciting and risky at the same time. It's a high-stakes game. The $15 million is just a small bit of money, and as spring comes along, it becomes very high spending. It's a race against time and money, and Parker realized that time was running out. He had to finish it fast if he wanted to achieve his goal. The Dominion Creek claim was expected to be a large gold deposit, maybe giving 80,000 gold ounces or even more. That could be over 160 million in wealth. The big money was a strong magnet that made Parker want to get into the very core of the bet. But, they say, having big rewards also means facing even bigger dangers. I think he's quite courageous and we should be inspired by his risk-taking. By the third week of the season, Parker had a big turning point to deal with. The price of reducing this pay point was very high. It was like spending too much money that could break his goals. Thousands of dollars were going into the dirt, but no gold was coming out. This place was not making money for anyone. The challenges were daunting. A big step was reaching the bedrock, but melting was an even bigger challenge that they had to face. 1 foot a week for 10 weeks in all, the time was running down fast, and the money issues got worse. It got really infuriating as time passed because the amount of gold underground was not helpful when there were money problems. For Parker Schnabel, it was a big moment to succeed or fail. The Dominion Creek claim could be a source of gold, but it was also tough to manage money there. The hopes for a big empire in Klondike were in danger, while the worries about money problems kept growing. Parker's brave effort may turn out to be the next winning story in Klondike territory, but it might also end up being a warning about money lost in the rough place outside. The future of Parker's big $15 million bet in the center of Dominion Creek won't be known until later. I think he might make it. As time passed, Parker Schnabel had a big problem to solve. He thought the answer could be in the past, among the old things left by miners from the Klondike Gold Rush of 1896. These early explorers, with not-so-good digging tools, had left behind gold that could be worth a lot. This made it a possible treasure chest for Parker to check out. The plan was easy and well thought out. Parker wanted to get gold from the untouched waste near Gold Run Creek. His hope came from the idea that Gold Run Creek, famous for its gold during the gold rush, would bring in quick cash. The chance of finding gold in these leftover rocks was Parker's sign of hope, a way to earn money without doing a lot of hard work from mining. Parker decided to check if this plan worked by running a test of leftovers through a small tumbler. I believe testing is quite necessary before taking any large risks. Each pail of waste rocks meant the hope of locating gold that had been hidden for more than 10 years. As the action started, everyone could feel the energy. The buckets from old times were worked on with excitement. They moved fast through the small drum machine because they needed to find gold fast. The urgent task was to do so before a big money problem happened. Parker and his team added a little humor to the serious feeling. They talked about drinking and aging on a lighter note that made everyone feel like they were part of a team. The fun conversation made the already serious situation feel lighter. The last bit of the task was filled with guessing and easy bets. The gold in the waste was the best thing to get, and people thought it might be anywhere from 190 to 240 milligrams. When they measured the stuff, it felt heavy. Then the stress got really high and excitement was at its maximum. I myself am quite anxious to know the result. The discovery of 226 milligrams of gold was a source of comfort and happiness. Parker's bet on the old waste rock had been successful, even though it did not reach the perfect 300 milligrams. In the world of digging, beggars can't be picky, and the gold pulled out was a way to keep Parker's work alive. The whole deal happened like a big, important game, with Parker's business luck at risk. It was a sign that success can come by looking back on the past. As Parker Schnabel worked through the problems with the Dominion Creek claim, a question came up. Could these old tailings be the trick to changing his $15 million chance to a Klondike gold digger? The next step was to do sluicing, a key action in taking gold from the ground, but the outcomes were very far from being good. Parker needed to test a small amount that would give at least 155 milligrams of gold, but the result was much lower, only 54 milligrams. This left him disappointed. The anger was clear in Parker's voice. He thought it wasn't good. Talking about old beggy and the trouble it causes suggests there might be unwanted things involved in the method. The business is seen as very skinny, meaning it doesn't have enough money. This could really harm how much money the project makes. Parker admitted to the outcome being too thin, and then talked seriously with his group to plan a path. Tyson, at a hopeful time, wanted to be the first to take money home and pay bills. The idea of sitting on a pile of gold made people remember that Parker had a big job to make a lot of money and stop the coming money problems from the claim at Dominion Creek. To speed up the process of getting gold, Parker started a different job at Ken & Stewart's. You can feel the change of attention as the group is working hard on planning and digging to find the hidden gold. I really like his determination. The hurry was shown in Parker's order to move stones, search for the leprechaun, and get gold. That was a simple way, but also very understandable for describing how to do mining works. As Parker looked at the floor, he found more obstacles than he thought. When there is too much trash, it's easy to see and makes the timeline for sorting it out harder. It showed that there was probably 5 feet of garbage there. That makes the job more complicated. Parker knew his team needed to talk about the problem. This shows they were determined to work together and make sure the operation was fixed. It became very important for Parker to jump on the gold quickly. This is because the unexpected slowdown in his gold washing activities was causing an alarm. The time needed for getting money had been hugely overdrawn, and the chances of running out were coming close. The failure was a big risk to Parker's fast gold scheme and made everything about the project more dangerous. The problem got harder as Parker thought about the shortages in moving around resources. The team needed to keep going because they were the key to making money and helping the business, even if it didn't bring in quick cash. Parker was quite upset and said that he really thought they would have a plant up and running before this, but it was no good. It wasn't the best, and it could have been better if they had done that sooner. He believed they had better plans before. On the rough land of Dominion Creek, where every choice matters, Parker Schnabel had a big choice to make. In a place like this, everything has to be thought out carefully. The search for gold, which was once a good shot, was now full of problems that could change the direction of his wild plans. Will Parker beat these challenges and make his $15 million bet a big success like the Klondike discoveries? Or will the hard side of the gold rush take another rich man's money away? Time will tell if Parker's brave journey to Dominion Creek Center is a success or not.
Embarking on a journey beneath the rugged terrains and fierce determination of the Gold Rush series, we unveil the glittering treasures that have left us in awe. Join me as we delve into the remarkable world of Tony Beets, Parker Schnabel, and other fearless miners, and witness their most exhilarating gold finds that have defined the very essence of discovery and ambition. From heart-stopping moments deep within the earth to the euphoria of striking it rich, these are the extraordinary tales of gold that have captured both our imagination and the very spirit of the hunt. Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel's and other best gold finds on Gold Rush. They face trials and triumphs on the road to this Olympic gold. Tony spends more money on gear in order to have his most productive season ever, while Parker's staff strives to increase their gold output. Both are determined and confident in their ability to succeed financially despite setbacks like broken machinery and lengthy road construction. The search for gold in the ancient miners' tailings pays off for Tony, while Parker's home is threatened by flames. But they both strike gold and far exceed their season targets. Tony is still committed to producing 9,000 ounces next year, and Parker is excited about the prospect of acquiring additional mining land. Gold miners like Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel, among others, share their greatest gold finds and experiences with the research team on the popular reality show Gold Rush. The Winchester lads are under pressure to impress Tony Beets with the efficiency of their wash facility, and must act quickly to do so. The strut of the plant causes a minor problem, but in the end they are successful in setting it down on the pad. However, they find that a supporting leg necessitates rearranging the sluice boxes, prompting John to construct an addition. Despite the difficulties, they self-repair everything and are now prepared to run pay. Knowing that taking risks is integral to the mining industry, they eagerly await the first scoop of pay dirt. After 25 straight hours of equipment operation, Tony Beets' crew is hopeful that they have delivered gold and broken the curse. When the gold is weighed, they find that they have 6 ounces, which is worth almost $11,000. As a result of this achievement, they are more motivated than ever to keep digging for gold. At the same time, Parker Schnabel departs for Fairbanks, leaving foreman Mitch Blaschke to set up 2 plants in 5 days. Mitch intends to optimize their gold extraction process by dragging the sluice fur onto a big area and installing the super stacker. The crew is frantically preparing the sluice to flow gold before Parker returns from Alaska. A 120-foot super stacker gets hooked up and arrives at the pre-wash. Parker's staff likes the arrangement after processing valuable ore in the wash plants. Parker updates the workforce on his operation before stripping and building a plant pad in Alaska. Parker may mine the entire 90-acre runway with both wash units. A conveyor fails and an engine blows. Even though Parker's other wash plant, Big Red, has been sluicing easy street cut pay all week, yielding over $290,000 in gold. The group is happy to have exceeded last year's ounce total and will keep working hard. Tony Beets and his team are under pressure to break records this season. Their shaker deck shuts down twice, infuriating them. The wash plant is hard to run since they can't discover a 2-foot section of damaged C-channel. Despite the challenges, they innovate by welding the C-channel back into place so the material may be processed. Now that they can process the tailings, they may hope to find fresh gold. Parker Schnabel is optimistic about the season's early start and generating enough gold to cover their bills. Monica and their granddaughter bring cheer as the Beets family evaluates the week's triumphs and setbacks. Gold rush gurus like Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel discuss their best gold hauls. Tony said the old-timer tailings made almost $310,000 when run. Parker said they found $145,000 in gold in 2 days. This week, about $460,000 in gold was extracted, more than double the same amount last year. They are happy with the results and expect financial and gold success. Fred Lewis and Brandon Clayton share resources to improve output in another scene. They believe they can increase output and profits by working together. Fred and Brandon's plant feeding loader had a tire blowout, causing downtime that could exceed their quota. The tire was fixed, and they continued working quickly. Mitch decides to clean up after 2 days and is pleased to see gold in the riffles. Fred and Brandon's partnership will be tested before their first gold weigh with Sandra and Andrew from New York City. The future season should benefit from their 19 ounces of gold every game while running less yards. Fred's largest gold grab and the chance to raise production by 50% have thrilled Tony's Beets and his employees. Tony's preparations were derailed by frozen ground and a big frost block blocking the conveyor belt, resulting in costly downtime and lost gold. Tony is unfazed and working hard with the 80 pup to get his season back on track and reach his gold goals. Tony and his staff had completed sweeping and scrubbing their mats and run. Tony strictly forbids his staff from walking on the mats. The Beets found $328,000 in gold despite downtime and lost gold, bringing their season total to over $2.3 million. Parker Schnabel is having problems bringing in 2,000 ounces of gold and worries he won't have enough to send his crew home. He must find the high-grade pay layer before winter, but he is 800 ounces short. Rick is surprised when Troy Taylor offers to sell the land to him for 150 ounces of gold. Rick should seriously consider the offer because he has spent a fortune on machinery and is struggling to make a profit. Rick recruits veteran ironworker Kyle Lawson to manage both wash facilities. Kyle manages the plant despite his fear. They are holding their breath hoping this clever strategy would work. They also made some remarkable gold discoveries on Gold Rush. Over $500,000 worth of gold, 219.8 ounces from Monster Red and 95 ounces from Rocky, were discovered by Tony Beets. As a result of Raleigh Valley's largest gold weigh ever, Parker Schnabel makes a significant financial commitment towards the purchase of more acreage. Mining tycoon Tony Beets is also in Kano attempting to break into uncharted territory. Test holes he digs show possible gold deposits. In general, these gold miners are engaged in some really promising work, and they have some very lofty objectives. Tony Beets and his staff are using a ball with a strainer to separate gold from soil in a new mining operation. They are pleased with the lengthy pump they utilize to speed up the procedure when they find fine gold. Tony is encouraged by this discovery and has discussed growing the firm with his family. Parker Schnabel is pleased with his gold weight, which beat last season's record. Parker will keep mining despite the season's challenges and make the best of it. Parker Schnabel and his colleagues seek to maximize their resources in Alaska to find better soil. Parker calls in his loyal right-hand man, Mitch Blaschke, to help clear overburden and keep the process running smoothly as they rush to reach 700 ounces of gold. Parker moves as much as feasible with Mitch's help despite machine repairs and a labor shortage. As they overcome challenges, the crew's collaboration and determination shine through. Parker Schnabel and Tony Beets want gold. Parker's crew must collect 700 more ounces to move Big Red to Mud Mountain. After upgrading his gear, Tony is more driven than ever to have his best season. Tony struggles with equipment, while Parker relies on their road expansion to bring him there. Despite the obstacles, they remain driven and confident in their capacity to succeed and profit. He'll make up his gold ounce deficit and protect his off-season investment. Tony is under pressure to supply gold after the buyer for his fleet of barges dropped out at the last minute. This season was the Beets family's most successful for gold production, despite the loss. Tony still hopes to reach 9,000 pounds next year. He also investigates pioneer mining waste. There may be some gold left, and since gold and petrol costs are low, now is an excellent time to look. Tony invites the crew together to learn about the hill and mine's history. After finding a wooden sluice box, they realize that only half of the gold was collected this way. Tony wants to dig into the tailings and find themselves. A sample is tested with a trommel to confirm gold presence. It's free money, so they'll transfer it to New Zealand for processing. Later, he and his loved ones head to Paradise Hill to find out if the old-timers' tailings turned up any riches. Tony needs 177 ounces every week to reach his 3,000-ounce season target. Mega-cut pay dirt processed through Mike's trommel produced 4.22 ounces of gold, worth $7,400. They decide to keep operating the tailings facility after Tony's intuition proved correct. The Premier Wash facility is a high-stakes gamble for Parker Schnabel and his crew because he needs the money to acquire land in Alaska. They had trouble at first due to water leaking, but managed to get the plant stabilized. Before the season is out, they want to have found enough money to stock up on weapons and invest in new territory. When Parker Schnabel's house is threatened by flames, he must deal with a dire situation. He leaves the mining operation to return home and assist his evacuating wife. Now Brennan Rule and Colt Foreman must manage day-to-day business. However, conflicts emerge as Brennan strives to maintain order and discovers poor work from the team. Brennan and Parker make up following a fierce dispute. Despite the difficulties, Parker is resolved to finish the season strong and earn enough money to purchase further mining property. With a final tally of 7,504.9 ounces of gold, the team sets new benchmarks and surpasses their best season ever. Be sure to subscribe for more thrilling updates of treasure hunting. As we near the end of the season, Tony Beets has his own set of problems to solve. He has yet to reach his ideal weight and is out of fertile ground in the mega cut after 400 ounces. When Tony punches a hole in the wall, water rushes in and floods the final nook of the mega cut. Tony hopes to establish a new market known as the upper cut in order to save the rest of the season. However, the ground becomes a soupy mess after heavy rain, which presents challenges for Tony and his crew. Tony is unfazed by the obstacles in his way and insists on continuing his search for rich gold deposits. Another setback for the crew was the destruction of their rock truck. Despite this, they are able to get the problem resolved and go back to work in short order. Tony's time to earn 3,000 ounces of gold this season is quickly running out as winter approaches. After the last load of dirt has been processed by the plant, everyone congregates for the season's final gold weigh-in. They miss their target by a hair, but nevertheless manage to produce 3,030.26 ounces, worth almost $5.6 million. Tony has his sights set on next season, and he's positive that, with the right brakes and a water permit, they can increase their output. You won't believe what researchers just discovered. Click on the next video to find out more now.
Gold digging is known to be a good way to make money, but as miners get better and go deeper, they find things other than gold. Some of these things are as useless as metal bits, while others are as valuable as gold itself. Let's look into how Parker finds mammoth tusks while he's looking for cash. Parker Schnabel's strange find. Parker Schnabel is used to getting his hands dirty and getting down on the ground when he's looking for money. He began working at the family mine when he was a youngster in the first season. Beginning with the second season, the young man took over the family mines and has been one of the most famous gold miners ever since. Other mine bosses have a hard time, but Schnabel seems to have the Midas touch because his team gets thousands of ounces of gold every season, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. After 10 episodes on Gold Rush, Parker has saved up a dime wealth, which is thought to be around $10 million. He's not going to slow down anytime soon. However, the miner has found more than just gold in the fields. He told them about some other strange things he had seen on his trips. There is a lot of stuff buried here. There's a good chance that miners have found some strange things on their trips. Parker doesn't find gold, but he does find something that many archaeologists would love. In an interview with the Maelstrom, he talked about the strange thing he found while mining for gold and how it might be the most important thing he had that wasn't gold. It was interesting that he told them he had found a pair of well-preserved woolly mammoth teeth. These tusks are very well preserved because they are made of ivory and were buried in permafrost, which kept them safe from the cold weather. Some of them were found in perfect shape, even though woolly mammoths went extinct a very long time ago. Finding fossils of preserved bodies makes us think about what makes a thing. Alaska is a place where mammogram tusks are sometimes found. They have a lot of value and help an industry grow. Because these tusks are made of ivory, they can be very valuable if they are kept in good shape. In some cases, they can sell for more than $1 million each. Parker and his team on Gold Rush might not find anything more valuable than gold, but mammoth tusks are definitely among the most expensive things that have ever been found. To make a long story short, the mammoth tusks he found would be worth a lot of money, because people are willing to buy almost anything. But Schnabel says he won't sell the tusks, even though they are valuable and could be valuable. To sell those kinds of things, he would have to get a lot of different permits, which he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to kill the tusks, instead, he wants to keep them. He thinks they're really cool and that they shouldn't be sold. And no one can blame him. He already makes a lot of money from the gold he finds, so it makes sense for him to keep the strange things he finds along the way. Even more so when he can happily say that he owns well-preserved mammoth tusks. So, if you ever go to Parker Schnabel's house, don't be shocked if you find some huge mammoth teeth waiting for you. The huge tusks are the cherry on top of Parker's successful job choice. He doesn't seem like he's going to stop working anytime soon, so we can say that more finds are on the way. As of now, it looks like the search for an unusual prize on Gold Rush is far from over. A famous gold miner on the show found something truly amazing. Another strange find on Gold Rush, Tony Beets found something very important at his new spot in Paradise Hills. Instead of finding gold like most people do, he found a tusk that had a special meaning for this part of Alaska. While exploring the site, he saw the tusk sticking out of the ground. With the help of his son Mike and their tools, they were able to dig up the bone, which Mike at first thought was a jawbone. Tony chose to have paleontologists look at it more closely. The remains of a woolly mammoth that was found earlier may be related to the tusks that were found on Gold Rush, according to experts. Since the Klondike Gold Rush more than 100 years ago, miners have kept finding these kinds of bones. One of the best things about the Yukon area is that it is known for finding animals from the Ice Age. Others had heard that Tony had found the bones of horses and zebras before, but this one made people think of the woolly mammoth. Gold Rush says that the baby mammogram is at least 30,000 years old, and the ground and ice in the area are thought to have kept the animals alive during the Ice Age. During the Gold Rush, people saw more strange things than just elephant tusks. Miners have seen things besides the god they were looking for. Parker saw something that blew his mind in particular. Meeting the welcome stranger face to face. Parker Schnabel almost passed out when he saw a copy of Welcome Stranger. It is the biggest gold nugget that has ever been found. We saw that he was half a world away from the Klondike Gold Rush Trail in Season 4, Episode 2 called Installment of Gold Rush Parker's Trail. He was looking for new experiences and chances. At the start of the show, Parker and his partner Fred Lewis were greeted by Tyler Mahoney, a fourth-generation Australian gold prospector. She opened her truck door and put a 2-foot-long golden boulder across the back seat. A story says that the welcome stranger was so big that it had to be broken in 3 on a hammer so that it could fit on a bank scale. The nugget would be worth about $4.7 million if it were sold today at the rate at which Hold is sold. The original welcome stranger was turned into gold bars a long time ago, but 2 perfect copies are still around. 2 of them are on show in Melbourne's old Treasury building. One is owned by Deason's descendants and is kept there. The one that was taken from Mahoney's truck is thought to belong to the Deason family, and column built in 1897 still stands in Molliagel to mark the spot where the nugget was found. Parker and no other modern gold miner found it, so the question is, who made this huge find that even Parker couldn't believe it? The Victorian Gold Rush happened in the 1850s, when a lot of people with big dreams went to Victoria, Australia, to try to make money. They came from all over Australia and other places around the world. I felt very happy for a short time. Some people hit it big and were rich for life, but for most, they never got that rich. It was true for 2 Cornish miners on February 5, 1869. Luck did come their way. John Deason was born on Tresco in the Isles of Scilly. When he was 1 year old, his fishing father drowned, and the family moved to Pendeen in West Cornwall. In this place, he met Richard Oates, who would become his partner. In the 1851 census, Both of them were working in the tin mines of Cornwall. It was 1853 when Mr. Deason moved to Australia, and a year later, Mr. Oates did the same thing to become a gold prospector. They went to Molliagul in 1862 and made a living there for 7 years. Then, in 1864, they hit gold. They found the amazing thing that made history, a huge piece of gold wrapped in quartz that was hidden just below the surface of a slope called Bulldog Gully. Mr. Deason wrote that he tried to use the pick to pick up the rock, but the handle broke because it was so big. He then got a crowbar and dug the nugget out of the ground. It was weighed at the London Chartered Bank in Dunolly, which is about 12 miles away. The nugget was broken up right away because the scales were too big to make a model or take pictures of it. Because people who saw it remember it, a drawing was made of it, and there is now a copy in the Dunolly Museum. Miners in places with lots of gold keep finding important things. For sure, Parker Schnabel has shown that he is a strong person. Let's take a quick look back at his amazing journey. The sparkling nugget. Parker had to find his way through a world full of new claims and cutting-edge technology advances in Season 10 of Gold Rush. A big event happened in the middle of all the digging activity. The electrified nugget was found. Parker, his team, and Gold Rush fans were all very excited about the find because it was so rare and special. When Parker set out on his quest, people were most excited about finding bigger and better things. He hoped to haul and grow his business across Klondike and Scribner Creek. The electric nugget was about 41.8 ounces in weight and got its name from a dendritic crystal attic that looked like lightning bolts. The nugget's unique feature makes it stand out from other finds and a rare natural wonder, which raises its value above its face value. As the season went on, episode 15, $1 Million Payday, became a strong candidate for showing the exciting secret. In the end, the explosive nugget adds a brilliant chapter to Parker's history of hold mining. Its market value is high because it is hard to find and has a beautiful crystal structure. It will always be remembered as an important and memorable gold rush find. The bounty at Eureka Creek. Parker set out on a dangerous adventure at the start of Season 7 of Gold Rush. He learned about how hard the mining business is by dealing with problems like broken equipment, unstable hold yields, and the risks of unexplored terrain. Even so, he wasn't going to give up. He invested in cutting-edge technology and tweaked his business to meet his challenges and make a huge recovery. Around the middle of the season, there was a big change, and watchers saw Parker's work at Eureka Creek start to pay off. After that, there was a long time of impressive gold recovery, which is where the name Eureka Creek Bounty comes from. The peak of this reward was reached by episodes like Eureka Payday and King Knopf Klondike. Parker always found a lot of gold, going above and beyond what fans expected and what he had found before. It was impossible to hold back their happiness as the team enjoyed the results of their hard work and persistence. One thing that makes the Eureka Creek Bounty unique is that it was a turning point. Parker's constant success in finding gold in the area made him a leader in the tough world of gold mining. Because he kept having success, he was able to move his business to other places and buy better technology and tools. Even though Parker has found a lot of gold, he is still losing money. Since he started working as a miner when he was 16, he has lost a lot of money. Allow us to look at some of the losses he has went through. A huge $3 million loss. Parker and his team put a lot of money into an area in Alaska and then got 108 ounces of gold from the waste that old gold miners left behind. But what really made things better was an area called the Wolf Cut. It was untouched land that was thought to have more than 2,000 ounces of gold and be worth more than $3 million. They even called this Wolf Cut the most important pit of the season because of how much information it gave them. Parker's crew needed 2 months just to get to the pay layer of the cut because the area is so deep. Things don't always go as planned, though. That's how things were for the team. A terrible flood a few weeks ago turned the Wolf into a lake. Because it was so hard, Parker thought it would be better to take all the money and go to Vegas than to drown in the Wolf Cut. Parker, who was known for being stubborn, wouldn't just give up the place. After some trouble, the team was able to push back the water, and Mark Fors, who was in charge of the operation, finally came down to get the treasure. Parker was keen to find out if there was enough gold for them to risk everything. He went to one spot and moved the dirt around, but it needed to be better. He finally found some fine dirt in another part of the cut, which meant there was gold there. Parker chose to go work and come back in 2 days with the crew. But just when it looked like everything was going to plan and they were going to get some gold, something shocked the whole crew. There was a hole in the wall, and mud and water were pouring out of it. It was clear that Mother Nature was not on their side that day. The water that they thought they had gotten rid of was back, but this time it was stronger and a bigger problem than the last time. People on the crew didn't think this would happen. The wolf cut could be filled with it again, which would mean a big loss. An excavator hit the side of the pit while digging for pay at the bottom of the cut. This revealed a mine shaft that was full of water, which flooded millions of gallons of water back into the pit and filled the pay grounds. There was nothing wrong with the crew's preparation. They just needed to be more ready. They had one 8-inch pump, but they needed more to get the job done. The second pump was turned on, but it didn't make a big difference. There was still water coming in from all sides. The team lost the battle against the water after they turned on both pumps. They had no choice but to take the pump out of the wash plant. It was such a big choice, though, and Parker should have made the call. The problem was that he wasn't there or answering his phone. They were in a tough spot. The area would flood if they didn't pull the pump from the wash plant to help the other two pumps, and they would lose their pay in the wolf cut. It would be hard to believe how much would be lost. Tyler made the tough choice to turn off the wash plant and remove its pump, which doubled their ability to drain. They had to leave the area while the pumps did their thing. In 24 hours, the pumps took away 10 million gallons of water. Parker finally came back, and he was very excited to see the first edit of the wolf cut. Instead, people told him stories about the flood that had happened. Parker's trouble with water was still going on, though. In a different story, he came into contact with water again when his mining ground in the wolf cut was taken over by water. Underwater mine site. Parker was looking for a pay streak in the 4-acre wolf cut on his Alaskan claim. He hoped that it would bring him at least 1,000 ounces this season. The pay dirt was 30 feet below, and the team had to dig out 1,000 yards of extra material to get to it. 4 feet more, and they would be below water. After that, it would be 30 feet before they hit rocks. But things weren't really fine as they seemed at first. The process was going on right next to a pond, and water would be the first thing that would go wrong if something went wrong. Frozen mud was the best option because it kept the water out. Recruit John Baudry was told to deal with the mud and keep the water out, but it looked like the cut was pretty wet, so they had to call their boss. If not, things will go badly if they do. It turned out that the mud got worse and spread faster as they opened up more areas. They still hadn't even cut out a fifth of the area. The wolf cut is next to a pond that is pretty old. There was only a small berm between them, not strong enough to stand up to the water pressure if it was messed with. They dug down and found frozen ice that stopped the water from getting in. The permafrost was broken, which now lets pond water seep through the wall and flood the cut. The area will soon have a lot of water if they let it keep going. There was a need for action to save the day. They thought getting a pump would be the best thing for them to do. To fight the water, Parker planned to dig a sunk pond in the cut that was as deep as it could go and put in an 8-inch pump to drain it. He was not going to lose another water fight. After setting it up, they had to wait until the next day. Their plan as a whole was good and seemed like it would work, but how do they choose a pump to drain water that big from a pond without first making sure it works and fixing any problems it might have? The next day, everyone on the team walked outside to see their perfectly dry and ready-to-med wolf cut, but they were about to get a bad surprise. They couldn't find their pump anywhere. It looked like the pump was gone, and instead of a cutting that was completely dry, they found a lake. The pump had terrible problems filling the cut and putting the pump 4 feet below the water. $500,000 were about to slip through their hands. The pump was so deep that they couldn't even walk up to it. Tyson had to pull a small kayak out with a chain in the excavator to get the pump to dry ground where they could work on it. Mark Force, the foreman, said that the debris was blocking the suction filter at the end of the hose, which caused the water level to rise and cover the whole pump. To make sure that more flooding wouldn't hurt the pump, he had to take the engine apart and repair it. Parker has shown that he is not easily upset by losses. In fact, he's had a lot of them. In spite of everything, he did something that shocked both miners and fans, putting an end to a season with $14 million in gold. Parker Schnabel and his team were starting a season that might change everything about gold mine. When it was really cold outside, the risks went up because every shovelful of dirt could make or break their dream. As soon as the season began, there was a sense of urgency, and Parker worked around the clock to coordinate his team's attempts to find the valuable material. The difficult conditions in Alaska were not taken lightly. They put their mental health to the test. They were determined to find their prize, even though the terrain was dangerous and some of the tools they were using didn't work right. Parker had to carefully plan every move because he was in charge of this determined group. His leadership skills had been honed over the years through failures and successes. Expectations were high, but he didn't let that stop him from leading his team through the dangerous terrain. He was motivated by the belief that the Klondike held the key to a life-changing fortune that, when found, would make all of their problems seem small. They finally made progress after a long time when they found a rich seam that went on and on below the frozen ground. It was impossible to contain the excitement in the mine camp when they found a way to do it and a large deposit of gold that would make their whole season different. After a string of setbacks and dashed dreams, the Klondike finally gave up the treasure it held. The huge job of getting the gold out of the frozen ground was still to be done, and Parker was in charge of it. Good news gets around quickly, and this finding does too. The news spread like a blaze through California, getting the attention of both supporters and opponents of mining. Parker and his group were put in the spotlight, and everyone was watching to see how the process would go. This put a lot of pressure on the crew. It looked like they might get $1 million haul. The crew had to race against time as winter got colder. This was another thing that would determine their success. The process of mining sped up, and heavy equipment was used to dig up the gold-filled dirt. When they worked together, it was amazing, and shocking things were found in the gold room where they kept their loot. Parker Schnabel told them how much money they had stolen, with a mix of pride and shock. $14 million worth of gold. People on his team, among miners, fans, and skeptics, were all amazed by this amazing feat. This season of Gold Rush will always be remembered as one of the best in Klondike history. Parker makes $364,000 in gold after getting rookie operator to move Slucifer. Parker, who had a lot of knowledge, kept showing off his accomplishments all these years. Not long ago, he did something even more amazing. He made $364,000 in gold by getting a new operator to move the Slucifer. The project already owed a huge $15 million, and Parker didn't know how to get out of this mess. There were daily costs and pressing repairs that needed to be done. There was some hope in the idea of getting a $160 million payday in the Dominion, but there were many unknowns along the way. It became clear when he admitted that the whole thing was making him feel pretty worried. He felt a little uneasy for the first time in a few years. He wasn't alone, though, which was good. His team would be there for him no matter what. To save the working bodies, Tyson had to take on everything. He got permission to use the mine from Ken Tatlow and Stuart Schmidt, and then began the impossible job of making the experience great again. No one expected the first cut to be so bad, and it took a lot longer than anyone thought it would. As soon as Parker realized how important it was, the pressure rose. He thought Tyson would be able to get up soon. The determination of Parker stayed strong, even though the work to prepare the new spot was hard. He went on to say that while he was getting El Dorado ready, he thought he had a lot of time. But when he was getting the next plant pad ready, he realized he didn't. As Parker dealt with the problems at El Dorado, everyone was left wondering if his unwavering determination would help him get through the tough times and find the gold stores that could make his mining project a success. Parker and Tyson were both involved in the El Dorado. Moving the wash plant at the El Dorado cut was a huge task that turned some important events in Tyson's life. They had everything they needed except time, because the process had to be done by a certain date. The due date for this job was Sunday, and if it was completed successfully, it would be able to stay alive. The plot jumbled up money problems, practical issues, and the almost constant search for the jackpot at Dominion into a mess of problems that needed to be carefully handled. The financial situation added another level of difficulty to the story. The operation, which was already a financial puzzle, was done with the worry of possible bills and the costs of running the business. As I watch them, I can't help but wonder, will this smart move help them find the gold mines they were looking for? Or will it be a big mistake on the crazy road of gold mining? At some point in this nail-biting story, you couldn't help but wonder, would Parker Schnabel's huge risk pay off? Or would his growing financial responsibilities and practical problems make it impossible for him to reach his goal of finding a gold mine? Dominion is a world where gold rules and fortunes can change in an instant. Parker Schnabel found himself in a very bad spot. Now is the time for the dream of the unreachable gold to change. Along with it came hard times financially, so the business could stay open. The heat had almost made this area its home. It makes me wonder what it's like to be ruled over. The answer is as easy as the question, but it beautifully describes the harsh conditions these miners have to work in every day. The word domian means sovereign, and the people who were looking for treasure buried in its land often tell it what its rules are. Another look at the area points to the harshness that is hidden by the light. Parker and his team's determination should definitely be praised. Recently, the weather has gone up, which has raised the bar for what is acceptable. This seemingly normal talk showed how hard these people's lives were. They had to work from dawn until dusk in the hot sun. The next step was to sluice there, but that wasn't official yet. As the thought of starting the sluicing process set in, there was a sense of excitement in the air. After some time, they said that sluicing wouldn't happen because they needed to get better at it first before moving the business. The team was eager to start sluicing, but first, they had to make some strategic choices. There was a lot of tension in the gold mining business because Tico, who was making efforts to make things run more smoothly, set a hard goal. As the order echoed through the mining site, the story unfolded quickly. Tico wanted the plant to begin buzzing before morning. The attention then turned to Tyson, whose scary job it was to move sluicer around on a pole that wasn't stable. Tyson had to make up sluicer out of a leaning stick he had lying around. The language used made it clear that the business was sloppy and rushed, even if no one knew how to make learning staff. Putting pressure on Tyson became an important part of the story, a major source of tension that gave the story more depth. To move the sluicer, you had to have a steady hand and a lot of skill that you learned over time. Tyson had to deal with a lack of experienced hands while working on a tough job. Alec and Liam helped out the last time, and it looked like they were going to drag Lucifer while Evan Kurtz, who was just an operator and didn't know how to move a wash plant, moved Lucifer. The moving of the wash plant was complicated by the fact that parts had to be slung up to the sluicer and then pulled down to the new pad by the 750. The main reason it was hard to do was because changing wash plants was hard to do when there were already few hands available. As Tyson and Evan took on the job of moving the pieces of sluicer to its new location, the story took an interesting turn. It wasn't just a jump that was being planned, it was a symbolic risk in the dangerous world of gold mining. Once sluicer was taken apart piece by piece, sharing could be seen as both a risky move and a game of chance. People who watched this story grow as a dynamic journey had to think about what would happen with the operation and the luck that was going on at the same time. Everything that was done in the world of gold mining had the power to change the whole course of the season, even sluicer's seemingly random jump. The 45-ton wash plant, sluicer, that held the promise of $364,000 in gold hung over their heads. Tyson and his team had to carefully move sluicer so that the process would go as planned. To get to its new wash plant pad, sluicer had to go up a steep ramp, which was hard to do because of the environment. Tyson used the 750 excavator, which was the best one on site at the time, to help carry the heavy Lucifer up the hill because he knew it was a period piece. As the story goes on, there is an amazing scene of bravery as they try to get around their opponent. But behind it all is the dangerous operation. The shot was tense because of the way the land was angled and how rude the Washington plant was. The wash plant started to slowly but surely rise because Tyson knew how to use everything he had at the time in a strategic way. From the first few steps toward the wash plant, you could feel the stress in the story, and Tyson's main point made the already difficult task even harder. He said that his bucket would be used as a small wrench. He talked about how you need to be able to adapt and be creative when you run into problems you didn't expect. At this point, everyone is almost in pain from the fight and can feel the strain of the hard mental and physical work that needs to be done to get the sluicer where it needs to be. Tyson's smart use of the bucket as a makeshift crowbar showed how important it was to be able to think quickly and change to survive in the unpredictable world of gold mining. So the operation as a whole relied on the team, and how well they did in this last stage was crucial to achieving the overall goal of a successful season in the Dominion. If this last step is completed successfully, not only will the difficult task be over, but Parker Schnabel will also have the chance to reach his big season goal. The team's ability to deal with the difficulty of this important configuration determined whether the whole operation succeeded or failed. As soon as the work was done, the wash plant set firmly on the pad, giving everyone a sense of readiness and accomplishment. The construction of the conveyor and the hopper feeder was a big deal in and of itself. It was a clear sign that gold processing was about to start. After following this high-stakes operation through all of its changes and surprises, I couldn't help but feel satisfied. There was a promise of gold worth $364,000 off in the distance. The problems were solved, and now everyone was waiting for the next part of Parker Schnabel's story. This move could change everything for Parker. It could get him a big payday and help him beat the challenges of gold digging in Dominion. After finding $364,000 in gold, he was making smart decisions, like letting a new operator move the Slucifer, which was the most important job. Using Slucifer and Gold Rush has had a big effect on the show and the people who watch it. Slucifer's demonstration of cutting-edge technology shows how the gold mining business has changed over time. The time was running out, and every second counted as they looked for the hard-to-find gold that would decide whether the mission succeeded or failed. Parker said he liked how the move was organized. After the rig move, the story went on to look at the day after. Everyone was so eager to hear the result that they stood on edge to listen. They knew that today's machine was the only one that could tell them how productive the whole season had been. The news of the golden sample led to both hope and disappointment. We called that sluicing. Parker was looking for a 5,000-ounce endonym to keep his business from going through a lot of trouble. He needed 300 ounces of water a week to get it. For the team, this was the last payment thanks to Parker's Vice, a 5,000-ounce season worth $364,000. After that, the count by the number of ounces showed that there was, in fact, a pileup that was different from the group's weekly goal, but still impressive.
All right, 20, 40, 60, 70, 110, 120.
Eventually, they will discover gold valued at $240,000. Consequently, what strategies did they employ to overcome their obstacles? How did they manage to function amidst severe weather conditions? As we investigate alongside Parker, he discovers gold valued at $240,000 on Tony Beets' claim. How it all began. In a brief period of time, Parker Schnabel and his team have never before mined more ground than they do now, following the completion of a deal with Tony Beets. Prior to the conclusion of the season, he must complete the task, and spring is considered the ideal time to set things up. They have resolved to exert maximum effort in the pursuit of completing it prior to the autumn, in the hopes of attaining a favorable result. Although the team harbors skepticism regarding their capacity to complete the project within the allotted timeframe, they maintain an optimistic outlook. Nona Lovelace affirms that this year's sprint is a complete sprint, as the anticipated completion date is in the spring. A member of the team, Tatiana Costa, exclaims that the quantity of snowfall they encountered was indescribable, as each surface was blanketed in dense snow that demanded additional exertion to clear. She then transports the frozen overburden to the waste pile in order to make room for additional labor. Following 4 days of operations proceeding as scheduled and equipment functioning flawlessly, the team avidly awaits the verdict of the novel Tony Beets' claim, not anticipating any adverse consequences. Following the completion of 4 days of machine operation, the team becomes eagerly anticipating the outcome of the new Tony Beets' claim, cognizant of the effort they have invested. As a consequence, the total weight of the gold realized was 137.8, which is approximately $240,000. The group expresses gratitude to Tony Beets and recognizes the possibility of a hectic season. They ponder the difficulties, the readiness of the apparatus, and the promising beginning to the season. Parker concluded by expressing gratitude to the entire team for returning for a second season, for their contributions to the success of the project, for the team's inspection of the used equipment, and for putting in so much effort to ensure the project's success. Gold Rush elevated the profile of the youthful and prosperous gold miner Parker Schnabel to prominence. He was born in Haines, Alaska, on July 22, 1994, into a family with a significant heritage in the gold mining industry. Parker became a member of Gold Rush during its second season at the tender age of 17. Despite his youth, he exhibited remarkable prowess in the field of gold extraction and a diligent work ethic. Parker achieved the distinction of becoming the youngest mining foreman in the history of the Klondike during his time on the program. Since assuming control of the Big Nugget mine from his patriarch, John Schnabel, his mining operations have grown. Parker has confronted a multitude of obstacles, encompassing apparatus failures, severe weather circumstances, and the demands of managing a prosperous mining enterprise. Despite earning millions of dollars annually, he does not retain the entire amount for personal use. He employs a team, and while their precise remuneration remains undisclosed, it is probable that they amass a considerable fortune when they unearth substantial quantities of gold over the course of a season. Parker abandoned his studies in favor of excavating, with the expectation of uncovering not only a hidden treasure but also an entire way of living. A substantial quantity of gold was discovered by Parker Schnabel and his team in the second season of Gold Rush. They obtained 34 ounces worth a total of $55,000. Parker was profoundly affected by this discovery, which motivated him to continue with the program and mining thereafter. Parker Schnabel estimated that the largest fragment of gold he had ever discovered weighed no more than a quarter ounce and was valued at between $400 and $500. He elaborated that it is uncommon to discover gems of that size and that the gold industry has undergone significant transformations since his grandfather began working in it in the 1980s. Parker Schnabel is determined to improve this time around. A depth of approximately 40 feet must be dug by him and his crew in order to discover the gold. But it is expensive. Thousands of dollars must be added to the $15 million that he has already invested in the property. Further, this serves as the initial stage. This season, Parker is confronted with a critical choice that has the potential to alter the course of his mining career. Parker Schnabel aims to surpass his previous record of discovering 300 ounces of gold with a value of $9 million. He is now setting an even more ambitious goal, obtaining 6,000 ounces from the Indian River. Confronting the difficulties of the Klondike, he is resolute and perseverant. A great deal of determination is anticipated from him throughout this thrilling voyage. Audiences have witnessed Parker's leadership, determination, and capacity to make difficult decisions under duress throughout the course of the series. His reputation stems from the fact that he challenges himself and his crew to accomplish lofty objectives. Parker Schnabel, notwithstanding the fluctuations, has emerged as one of the most accomplished and widely recognized individuals in the film Gold Rush. Gold Rush featured a diverse workforce of crew members who were integral to Parker Schnabel's mining operations. Every member made a contribution that aligned with the initial plan for the project's success. What are your reflections on this particular occurrence of Parker's conquest?
Prepare to embark on an extraordinary adventure as we delve deep into the heart of Parker's gold mining expedition, where fortune meets hard work in a season like no other. In a riveting twist of fate, Parker Schnabel, the mining prodigy, has unearthed an astonishing $14 million worth of shimmering gold during this remarkable season. In spite of the many difficulties and disappointments he encounters, Parker ultimately achieves a significant deal of accomplishment. He takes a chance by putting his most advanced washing facility on very fertile land, which results in complications brought on by an abundance of water. Despite this, Parker is able to find a solution to the problem and continues his search for gold. Mitch had to leave the crew in order to safeguard his family from the neighboring wildfires, which presents the group with yet another challenge with 5 weeks left in the season. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a vast, rugged terrain, with the sun setting behind the horizon, casting a golden hue over the landscape. The clinking of shovels against rock, the rumbling of heavy machinery, and the anticipation in the air create an atmosphere charged with excitement and anticipation. Parker, armed with unwavering determination and a heart full of dreams, has once again pushed the boundaries of what's possible in the world of gold mining. Step into a world where dreams are as precious as the metal they seek, and where the stakes have never been higher. This is a season that will leave you breathless and in awe of the incredible journey that is Parker's record-breaking $14 million gold rush. Brennan assumes leadership and is immediately put under pressure to locate the treasure. They continue their mining operations despite the tensions and disappointments that they are experiencing. Parker, having realized the significance of adhering to the fundamentals, apologizes to Brennan and reiterates that their primary objective is to earn sufficient funds to purchase new land for the following season. A stunning 7,504.9 ounces of gold with a value of close to $14 million are mined by Parker's workers at the conclusion of the season, shattering their previous record for the amount of gold extracted. Celebration and happiness follow the success of the endeavor. Parker is extremely ecstatic about the recent decline in the price of petrol, as well as the rise in the price of gold. This comes at a time when he is getting ready to buy a piece of land in Alaska. Earning money is essential for him in order to save up for the next purchase he intends to make. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. But the large amount of water offers a risk that the plant would collapse into the pond if it is not handled properly. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. He was successful in finding a solution to the problem, and he is now eagerly anticipating the prospect of finding gold under the ground. Despite the fact that there are just 5 weeks left in the season, his staff still has a significant amount of work that they need to complete. They are struck a blow, however, when Mitch discovers that there are wildfires in the region close to his property and makes the decision to remove his family in order to protect them from the danger. Brennan is now in charge and must continue to search for the treasure despite the increased amount of stress. His explosive temper is caused by his frustration with the bad job that was done, as well as the obligation to walk the floors. In spite of the challenges, they are pushing forward with the mining operations, and emphasizes how important it is to ensure that their work is consistent with the basics at all times. Before the onset of winter, Parker is going to require Brendan's assistance in clearing the runway of any mine debris. They plan to earn a profit that is sufficient to enable them to purchase additional acreage in time for the following growing season. In the penultimate segment of the current season, Parker's crew is successful in extracting a total of 7,504.9 troy ounces of gold, which, based on the high prices of gold in the year 2020, has a worth of around $14 million. The group now holds the new record thanks to this accomplishment. To celebrate the accomplishment, cheers and laughing are used throughout the entire process. As the reserves that Parker Schnabel and his crew have begun to deplete, they are faced with the challenge of locating new mining land. They have plans to mine a new part of land that is 60 feet deep, and the quantity of gold that they are looking for is 8,000 troy ounces. Parker is well aware that the absence of Brennan throughout this season would make things more complicated than usual, but despite this, they are determined to make it work nevertheless. However, the first pans of muck that they dig out from Muck Mountain only bring up a few flakes of gold here and there. This is a really disappointing turn of events. In spite of this setback, Parker makes the decision to proceed, putting his faith in the results of the drilling and thinking that the material will yield better results after it is processed through the wash facility. He does this because he is confident that the results will improve. The fact that Parker Schnabel is rapidly exhausting his supplies gives him with the challenge of scouting out new mining terrain, which he must do in order to continue his mining operations. He organizes a meeting of his workers in order to discuss the approach that will be employed for the forthcoming season, which will require mining a new part of ground that is 60 feet deep. In the meeting, they discuss the strategy that will be used. They believe that there could be 8,000 ounces of gold at the bottom, but they are aware that it will be a difficult endeavor that requires a different method than what they have used in the past. Despite this, they continue to maintain their optimistic estimate. Parker is aware that it won't be simple because Brennan won't be around this season, but he and the other members of the squad are determined to make it work regardless of the challenges that they will face. As they move forward with the process of excavating the new ground, they run across obstacles here and there. Gold Rush is a hugely successful reality show that airs on Discovery Channel and features Parker Schnabel as the show's primary protagonist. The show focuses on the activities and endeavors of gold miners and diggers in the state of Alaska. Because of his consistent display of talent, Parker is an essential member of both the cast and the staff of the show. The show is his primary source of income. However, he also works at the Big Nugget Mine, which was built by his grandfather, John Schnabel. During the 4th season, he put some of his money toward his education in preparation for starting his own mining business in the future. He was just declaring that he had a bright future in the business when he managed to unearth 1,029 ounces of gold in Klondike. This is proof that he has a bright future in the industry. Subscribed yet? Do so now for more thrilling updates on Gold Rush. The first few pans of mud from Mud Mountain turn out to be unproductive for Parker and his crew, as they only produce a few flakes of gold. Parker is concerned about the amount of time and resources that have already been committed in the project up to this point. In spite of the obstacle, he makes the decision to carry on and put his faith in the results of their drilling. They have high hopes that the material, after being processed by the wash facility, would produce more desirable results. As we wrap up this glittering chapter of Parker's journey, we're left with a heart full of awe and inspiration. The tale of mining, perseverance, and dreams fulfilled is one that will resonate for years to come. As the gold dust settles and the sun sets on this remarkable season, remember that the spirit of adventure and determination lives on. Join us next time for even more thrilling exploits, as Parker continues to chase his dreams and break new records. Until then, keep the spirit of discovery alive and let Parker's monumental achievement remind you that with passion and unwavering dedication, you too can unearth your own golden dreams. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey, and stay tuned for more epic adventures with Parker Schnabel. Until next time, keep your hopes high and your dreams even higher.